Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian. And this has come through now from my good friend at the corner shop, Girish. And I don't always get these through, but this one has come through. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a review to go through it with you. It's this Doctor Who Chronicles series, which covers all eras of the Doctor. And what they do is they pick a particular year. Now, 1988 is the year, and this is quite a turning point year for the seventh Doctor, because, let's face it, Doctor Who was seen to be in decline. Well, since really the Sixth Doctor reception by the BBC was not good at all, and he effectively was sacked after the trial of the Time Lords. Let's make no bones about it. And they brought in Sylvester McCoy, and there was still this feeling that Doctor Who was dying. It would be dead. And a lot of people didn't like Colin Blaker, and same one with Sylvester McCoy. Fandom was just as hateful then as it can be now. You know, if there'd have been the internet, we'd have had the same reaction as we had with Jodie Whittaker. Terrible, you know, really. Some of the things are ridiculous. And, of course, all these people nowadays who are going on about these things don't know the history of the show. As I always, I'm like a preacher man here. History, know your history. That's what I say. So, what makes 1988 a turning point year? The ratings, when we look at the year, had actually gone up slightly. Not a great deal, but they were 5.4 million, which nowadays they'd be absolutely going mad about. But in terms of how television was then, yes, it was not so good. It was seen as pretty poor. Plus, the real death knell of Doctor began when they moved the show. The first Sylvester McCoy series was shown on a Monday. Yeah, exactly. The contempt almost, it was just thrown in there. And then this year, which was an Olympic year, which affected as well the production in terms of showing, it was on a Wednesday. Again, not good at all in terms of ratings. However, creativity in terms of the show was now really actually moving in a real positive direction. We had the introduction of Ace, which I think is so important to really improving the series in terms of just that feeling that there's somebody dynamic new who's actually not your typical companion. Ace is great. I think a lot of people really loved it when all this was recognised in the Power of the Doctor special that, you know, they did for Jodie, the 13th Doctor. And Ace, she came back, and it was great to see her, and she's a great character and now very much loved. But this was the year that Doctor Who really improved on the writing, and even though there were cutbacks in the production, they still were very creative. Also, as usual, John Nathan Turner was trying to get other famous actors into the show to try and boost the ratings. And he must have known that the writing appeared to be on the wall, but he tried his best to really try and move the program, forward. And because the perception, as I said, was that it was dying, and he did that creatively. There were definite plans for a fourth season with Sylvester McCoy. They were so happy with how things had gone, and the third season for Sylvester McCoy is absolutely wonderful. It really brings everything together. But this second season is really good as well. And me babbling on, let me go have a look through this other way until Christmas, with me going on. I won't go through everything, but I'll try to show you what's in here, what sort of things they're talking about. Now, that's an interesting, the first real article in here is, the only way is up. Yep. There, and look who's there, Ace. Yeah. It's recognised that the introduction of Ace really brought some new energy. Yes, I think that's the word, energy to the programme. And a relationship with the professor, she called the doctor, was fantastic. The chemistry between them was absolutely amazing. And this goes into that, just looking about what happened, just a view of this whole season. It's great. Then we've got a diary of Doctor Who of each month, right through to December, from January to December. And this goes into all the things that were happening, and promotion in terms of filming and fandom, everything that was going on in these months is all here. It's great. There we are again, right through to December. There we get a good look, good in-depth view. Then we get the Remembrance of the Daleks. This is referenced very much, as I told you, with in that the Power of the Daleks. The Power of the Doctor. The Power of the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's special, very much references this story. It's a great story. The Daleks have never looked so good. As I say, I mentioned this before, I believe that the classic Who produced a lot better Dalek stories in many ways, apart from the odd one or two, than in the new lot. The new lot, they're not written as in the same, I don't know, it's because there's too many, as I've told you before. I just feel that there's too much Daleks in the modern series. But there we are. There's some great Dalek stories, and that was certainly one. This is, again, looking at the design of the Daleks again, and the whole story. It's exciting. The Daleks were exciting then. Now, another Dalek story. Then there's a nice thing about the location. Yeah, great location. Art shooting of that. It's just great. Wonderful. When Doctor Who went on location, it just added that bit more to the stories, because especially when you're on a low budget. That's the thing. Then it's on about the change in Doctor Who novelisations. I think Virgin had taken over from the Target books, and they were still producing and writing the stories. You can see the revamp in the covers, and the actual authors were not Terence Dicks anymore, but the actual people who've done the script. Like, for instance, here, Time and the Ramley, we've got Pip and Jane Baker writing the stories. And I like these covers. I mean, the Target covers are iconic, but the new covers are really nice as well. So, there's more about all the novelizations. And So it was a good year. Then we got into the Happiness Patrol. Now, could you imagine if they'd have put this story up? If Jodie Whittaker had done this story, they'd have been going, woke, woke. It was a critique, in many ways, of Thatcher's England at the time. I mean, fantastic. It's a very colourful story as well. It's just, it just paints an interesting picture, but I can just see the venom and that people would have gone on about this story. But as I say, no, it's new under the sun, is it? Yes. Now, here we're talking about the budget of Doctor Who and the creativity involved, in actually producing the show. The designers really had to be very creative. It reminds me of like how Hammer was, in the terms of the film business. You have to be creative, and you can do it. Now, here's an interesting look. This is again on the Happiness Patrol. A look at the designs. This is an interview with the prop maker and all the designs of this story. It's a really interesting story. There's quite a lot of this controversial figure. It was a really inventive story, yeah. Then we're going on looking back at the things that happened that year. There's a look back at the design of the themes, going back right to John Pertwee era, and then right through to Sylvester McCoy. But what is really interesting is look at these sleeves. Do you remember these? VHS releases. Look at that. All those VHS releases. When they just issued the edited, not non-episodic, omnibus stories, and there they were: Spearhead from Space, Day of the Daleks, Robots of Death, Terror of the Zygons, The Pyramids of Mars, The Fifth Doctor. Sorry, the Five Doctors, not Fifth Doctor. Remember the special release of that. Then we go into the audio, because audio was also going on as well. Again, that's nothing new. The Big Finish, before Big Finish, we had that. Oh, and then this. And if you're interested in the figures and toys, I'll say one word: Dapol. The Dapol figures. Wow, they were exciting Dapol figures. Yes, unfortunately, I don't know if you know the story, but the factory got burnt down, and that was the end. Yeah. I know perhaps nowadays they might seem more sophisticated, some of the figures, and they are, but Dapol is still well respected. Then we've got Silver Nemesis. Silver Nemesis was the 25th anniversary story, and it brought back the Cybermen, and it's a fun story. That's what I've got to say about it. It's fun. It isn't perhaps the greatest Cyberman story, but it's enjoyable. It's a very enjoyable story, and there's a lot of fun to be had in watching it. So that's it. And there's a bit more article about the special effects in all these stories. Oh yeah, there's loads about the special effects. Just masses of that information. Then we're going on about costume designs. Yeah, we told you it's in depth. I don't mess about here. More about costume designs. I just move on that. Then what have we got here? Oh yeah, this is on about in Doctor Who magazine. How that changed as well in that particular year. It was more, you were getting more fans involved in the magazine and freelance writers and um, yeah, Doctor everything say starts to evolve and change. And then we're looking at the comics. What was happening in Doctor Who comics at the time? Sylvester McCoy, of course, there. He was obviously in the strips in the Doctor Who magazine. It's looking wider as well at Doctor Who in the comics. Fantastic stuff. Then we've got a really, I think this has grown with time, appreciation of this story. It's the greatest show in the galaxy. It's quite an innovative story, and I like that. And again, the effects are amazing. And this is really well appreciated now. And it was in 1988. It's got such a lot going for it as a story. I love it. Then there's about the music. Again with Ace. And yeah, look at Ace there with the sound system she carried about with her, great. Oh, they call them boom boxes. I don't know whatever you call them. So we get all into the music about that. Then we go on to the fan scene, which this is really interesting because you could read this and think you come forward in time to now. Some of the stuff is just ridiculous. It's interesting, but there's also, say, the fanzines as well. The fanzines always keep a program alive. You need that. Then there's an article, and I really like this. This is reference books of the Doctor Who, so it's the non-fiction books. I remember this Cyberman one quite a lot. And these like Doctor Who and the Dalek books, 25 Glorious Years, brilliant books, great reference books. And then there's here we've got where were the actors in 1988 who'd been in Doctor Who, which is an interesting look at their careers. It goes right through all the careers of people and what they were doing from that. Look at how Miss John Pertwee's Wurzel Gummidge. Oh yeah, it's great stuff. Now there's even more specific article about the press and this reaction to Doctor Who, which was really getting ridiculous. Some of the hatred is just, it's unbelievable. Sorry, Doc, you're not the real McCoy. We've got things like that going on, and then all these articles about it and saying it's just not Doctor Who, and that sounds so familiar, doesn't it? They just think it's like that's the sort of thing that we'd have now. You can imagine certain YouTube sites. It's Dr. Dud. Yes, that's it. It's just, nothing changes. As I say, history never changes. And there's an interesting look at what was on TV at the time. Like we've got here on the box, we've got Top of the Pops, about Top of the Pops. Because Doctor Who even had an influence. There were certain records, Doctoring the Doctor, I remember, and these singles in the charts. Then we've got here, look, Neighbours. Hey, a bit of Kylie. Come on. You can't get enough Kylie, can we? Kylie in there. Yeah. It's on about the Radio Times, of course, that always had Doctor Who stuff. It's just fascinating looking at this. Some of the things you're thinking, oh, yeah. Oh, Smith and Jones. I remember all that. Oh, yeah. Going back again. Red Dwarf. February 1988 saw the debut of Red Dwarf. If you haven't seen Red Dwarf, where have you been? Great series, brilliant series. It's still going. You know, they occasionally do stories for Red Dwarf as well, and that's what it started. I didn't realize it started in 1988. Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff, and that's an interesting look at the ratings. The highest rating was, as I thought it would be, was Silver Nemesis, the anniversary story. 6.25 million was the highest it got in one episode of that, but then it went back down inevitably. But you know, the ratings did start to pick up, and I think those that managed to watch it suddenly realised that that things were actually good, and they got to like Sylvester McCoy more. There was that feeling, and that was great. So there it is, me rambling on about this. Fantastic. Yep, if you can get hold of a copy, well worth it. So, as I say again, here we are. Subscribe if you like these videos, and if you like it, give it a like. It all costs note, and you can put your comments in and whatever you want. That's it. Okay, so I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.